What if the people we fear the most are the ones who would save us without saying a word? Welcome to BookLeesh, the place where stories breathe, characters speak to your soul, and every page holds a truth waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving into one of the most hauntingly beautiful, morally powerful novels ever written, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This isn't just a book review. It's a journey through innocence, injustice, quiet courage, and the kind of wisdom that only comes from truly seeing people. So settle in, open your heart, and let this story unfold, not just through words, but through the emotions it leaves behind. Let's begin. Imagine growing up in a place where your neighbors whispered behind doors. Justice wasn't black and white. It was skin deep, and innocence was a luxury only children could afford. Macomb, Alabama wasn't just a sleepy southern town. It was a crucible quietly boiling over with tension, secrets, and old wounds dressed up as tradition. At the center of this world stood a little girl with a fistful of questions and a father who dared to answer them truthfully. Scout Finch wasn't your typical girl. She wore overalls, hated dresses, and had a sharp tongue that mirrored her sharp mind. Her world was full of games with her brother Jem and their friend Dill. But then, something shifted. A shadow loomed over their childhood. Boo Radley. A recluse, a ghost, a myth. They dared each other to touch his house, run past it, or even peek inside. What started as playful fear slowly became something deeper, a curiosity about why someone would choose to disappear from the world. But as they grew, another shadow crept in, much darker and much more real. Tom Robinson was a black man. That alone in Macomb was often reason enough to lose your freedom. But he was also kind, humble, and helpful. He helped a white woman with chores. And for that, he was accused of something horrific, raping her. No proof, just words. White words against black silence. The town made up its mind long before the trial began. But then, there was Atticus. Atticus Finch was more than just Scout and Jem's father. He was Macomb's quiet rebel. A man who read by lamplight, shot mad dogs with steady hands, and stood unflinching when storms came. He was appointed to defend Tom Robinson, and unlike anyone expected, he did it like he meant to win. The courtroom became a battlefield. Atticus used facts, logic, and calm. He showed the jury the bruises didn't match Tom's disabled hand. He revealed the lies. He dismantled the accusers. For a moment, just a brief, aching moment, it felt like truth might win. But then the verdict came. Guilty. Even children could feel the weight of injustice that day. Jem cried. Scout didn't fully understand, but her world cracked open. How could people be so blind, so cruel, so sure of a lie? And then, Tom ran. Hope had betrayed him. He tried to escape prison. He was shot 17 times. Mayella Ewell, the girl who accused him, wasn't evil. She was lonely, poor, and scared. But then, fear twisted into accusation. Her father, Bob Ewell, spat venom at the Finch family. The trial wasn't just about Tom, it became about pride, race, revenge. Scout and Jem faced the fallout. At school, at home, on the street. But they also discovered strength. From Calpurnia, their wise housekeeper. From Miss Maudie, their fire-tongued neighbor. And from Atticus, who never lost his dignity. Yet evil doesn't sleep when humiliated. Bob Ewell waited. One night, in the dark woods after a school play, he attacked the children. But then, something unexpected happened. A silent figure appeared. A ghost from the past. Boo Radley. He saved them. Not with words, but with action. He killed Bob Ewell. Quietly. Without pride or show. The same man they had feared as children turned out to be their protector. And Scout finally, profoundly understood. Standing on Boo's porch, seeing the world from his eyes, she realized what it meant to walk in someone else's shoes. That moment, that gentle whisper of understanding, is what the entire book builds toward. Because in a world full of noise, it's often the quiet ones who see the most. The brilliance of To Kill a Mockingbird lies not just in its story, but in its ability to whisper truth in a room full of shouting. Harper Lee doesn't scream at racism. She hands you a child's eyes and lets you see it for yourself. You feel the unfairness, the confusion, the small victories and enormous losses. And somehow, through it all, there's still a thread of hope. We don't just remember Atticus because he stood up. We remember him because he did it when he knew he'd lose. Because some fights are worth fighting, even if you're doomed to lose them. And that lesson, taught quietly, gently, persistently, makes this book immortal. Because even now, decades later, Scout's voice still rings true. Atticus's calm still resonates. And Boo's silent kindness still haunts us. The mockingbird, innocent and beautiful, asks for nothing but to sing. And still, people kill it. But then, maybe if we keep listening, we can learn not to. Let's continue deeper into the emotional and moral core of To Kill a Mockingbird, where every character, even the quietest ones, have something vital to teach us. The beauty of this story lies not only in the grand events, the trial, the verdict, the attack, but in the small, almost invisible moments. The way Scout looks up at Atticus when he puts his watch away. The way Jem begins to understand that being brave isn't about holding a gun. And the way Boo Radley, unseen and unheard, becomes the purest symbol of compassion. As the dust of the courtroom settles, the children's world begins to harden. Jem, once wide-eyed and full of playful arrogance, becomes introspective, almost bitter. He had believed in justice, believed the court would see the truth. But then he learns that truth doesn't always win. That being right isn't always enough. And that grown-ups, even the ones in power, are sometimes too afraid to do what's right. That's when you realize this is more than a story of innocence lost. It's a story of how innocence is lost, slowly, painfully, and through truths that can't be unlearned. Scout's journey is different. She doesn't break like Jem. She questions, she observes, and she listens. It's through her eyes that we meet the real Maycomb, the town where people talk sweet but judge silently, where men like Bob Ewell are allowed to poison everything, just because their skin is white. But there's another layer, one many readers miss. Take Calpurnia, for instance, the black woman who raised Scout and Jem with discipline, love, and quiet grace. One Sunday, she takes the children to her church. It's a jarring shift. They step into a world where black voices sing with power, where worn-out hymn books are replaced by call and response, where dignity thrives in poverty. But then, the children also see something they didn't expect: respect. Calpurnia is admired in her community. She's not just a servant. She's a bridge between two worlds, and she walks it silently every day. Atticus, too, walks that line. Alone. When the sheriff and judge give him the Tom Robinson case, it isn't out of hope. It's out of duty. But he doesn't just perform, he believes. He puts his heart into it, knowing the town won't change overnight. He knows the cost. And yet, he tells Scout, the one thing that doesn't abide by majority rule is a person's conscience. That line sticks, because it's the heartbeat of the novel. You don't do what's right because it's popular. You do it because it's right. But the cost is high. Tom Robinson dies. Bob Ewell loses face and turns vengeful. And Scout and Jem, through it all, become witnesses to something most adults spend a lifetime trying to deny: that evil doesn't wear horns. It walks in daylight. It votes. It smiles. But then, Harper Lee gives us something else too. Something powerful. She gives us Boo Radley. All throughout the story, Boo is the symbol of fear. The unknown. The mystery. The children imagine him as a monster, a pale creature with blood-stained hands and hollow eyes. They dare each other to get close to his house. They leave notes for him, try to catch him like some ghost in a bottle. But they don't see him until the end. When Bob Ewell attacks the children in the woods, Scout and Jem are vulnerable. They're alone, and out of nowhere, Boo steps from the shadows and saves them. He carries Jem, who is unconscious and injured, to safety. And when Scout finally looks at him, really looks at him, she sees not a monster, but a man. A man who never asked for anything. A man who had been watching quietly, always nearby. She holds his hand, leads him home. And in that quiet walk, something incredible happens. Scout understands everything. Standing on Boo's porch, looking at the town from his point of view, she reflects, you never really know a man until you stand in his shoes and walk around in them. And there it is, the book's soul, its entire message wrapped in a whisper. It's easy to hate what you don't understand. But if you take the time to see, to feel, to listen, the world starts to look very different. The town of Maycomb doesn't change overnight. It may never change, but the children do. Atticus does. Boo does. Even we, as readers, do. Because the story stays with you. It challenges you. It hurts you. But then, it also heals. And maybe that's what makes this book so powerful. It doesn't offer easy answers. It offers a mirror. So when the mockingbird sings pure, gentle, asking for nothing, it reminds us that some things are sacred. Some voices must be protected. And when they're silenced, we all lose something irreplaceable. And if you're still listening, if you've stayed with Scout and Atticus and Boo this far, you already know. This wasn't just a book. It was a lesson. Not about law or crime or even race, but about being human in a world that's forgotten how. Let's now move toward the final leg of this journey, where the echoes of justice, innocence, and moral courage settle into something deeper. Not an ending, but a lasting imprint on the soul. After everything Scout and Jem have witnessed, the harsh trial, the gut-wrenching verdict, the broken man who ran for his life, the neighbor who turned out to be a guardian angel, you would expect them to become cynical. Many people would. After all, isn't that what the world teaches us? That if you see too much, feel too much, know too much, you become jaded. But then, something remarkable happens. They don't become bitter. They become wise. Scout, though still just a child, begins to reflect with clarity adults often lack. She understands that people can be cruel, that justice can fail. But she also sees that kindness exists in quiet corners. That sometimes, those who appear weak carry the heaviest truths. And that doing the right thing may not change the world, but it changes you. One of the most profound lessons comes not from the courtroom or the schoolyard, but from Sheriff Hecate. After Bob Ewell is killed, stabbed by Boo while saving the children, Heck knows what really happened. He knows Boo acted to protect, not to harm. But then, a choice stands before him. Does he tell the truth and expose Boo to the town? Does he make Boo a spectacle, drag him into the world he's avoided all his life? No, he doesn't. Because sometimes, protecting the innocent means letting them remain in the shadows. It'd be sort of like shooting a mockingbird, wouldn't it? Scout says softly. And just like that, the entire novel loops back to its title. The mockingbird, gentle, harmless, never asking for more than to sing, is a symbol of goodness that must be shielded. Boo Radley is a mockingbird. Tom Robinson was a mockingbird. And perhaps, in their own ways, so are Scout and Jem until they learn the weight of the world. The brilliance of Harper Lee isn't just in what she wrote, but what she left unsaid. She doesn't give us a grand resolution. Macomb doesn't apologize. Racism isn't defeated. Justice doesn't prevail. But then life rarely offers neat endings. What we get instead is a quiet revolution of the heart. A small girl, once wild and reckless, now filled with compassion. A boy, once sure of the world's fairness, now wiser and gentler. And a father, once alone in his fight for truth, now leaving a legacy that will echo far beyond his time. What makes To Kill a Mockingbird endure isn't the plot, it's the pulse behind the words. It's the moral ache you carry after you close the book. It's how you begin to see the world differently. It's how you pause before judging, how you listen longer, how you ask, quietly, am I brave like Atticus? Have I seen the Boo Radleys in my own life? Do I speak up for the Tom Robinsons who can't speak for themselves? And if not, why not? This book doesn't ask for praise. It asks for action. It asks you to notice the mockingbirds, to protect them. It asks you to raise your children not to follow rules blindly, but to question, to stand up, to understand. It asks you to be like Atticus, not perfect, not loud, but quietly unshakable in your values. Scout says, Atticus, he was real nice. And her father replies, most people are, Scout, when you finally see them. That single line may be the most radical truth of all. That beneath fear, pride, and ignorance, people have the capacity for good. But only if we dare to see them fully. So the next time you hear a mockingbird sing, think of Tom, of Boo, of Scout. Think of justice not served, of kindness quietly given, of courage that doesn't roar, but whispers, try again. And maybe, just maybe, the world will tilt a little closer toward what it should be. That's what To Kill a Mockingbird leaves us with, not a perfect world, but the tools to shape one. And as long as we remember, as long as we keep listening, the mockingbirds will keep singing, even in the silence. So, if you felt even a flicker of emotion while listening to the story, if Scout's innocence, Atticus's integrity, Boo Radley's silent courage, or Tom Robinson's heartbreak moved you, then don't just stop here. Read the book. To Kill a Mockingbird isn't just a novel, it's a mirror, a guide, a quiet revolution wrapped in pages. It will teach you more about humanity than any speech ever could. And trust me, no review, no summary, not even the most heartfelt retelling can replace the experience of reading Harper Lee's words for yourself. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this story touched you, helped you see the world just a little differently, or simply made you feel something real, do consider subscribing to BookLeesh, where stories aren't just told, they're felt. Until next time, protect the Mockingbirds, see the Boo Radleys, and above all, be Atticus when the world needs him most. Thank you.